Hello Pixies, and welcome to my channel for the very first time. I'm Zoe, and I know doing the booktube newbie tag is a little bit tradition around here, and I might still do it, but I wanted my first video to be me sharing my absolute favorite books with everybody. So if you have like a similar reading taste to me, or if you just think the things I'm talking about sound interesting, then you know that you can like follow along on my little reading journey here on BookTube. And I'm super excited. I am a little bit nervous. I've tried to do this so many times, and I always get so flustered and nervous and stuttery, but this time I'm just powering through. I'm just powering through. And if the editing's not perfect, like, you learn as you go. You're not going to start out perfect, and I'm trying to beat that perfectionism. So without further ado, I'm going to show you my favorite books. My favorite series of all time, because this is going to include series. There's mostly standalones here actually, which is a little wild because I definitely define myself as a series girl. But my favorite series of all time is in no way uncommon, I believe. Well, it might be uncommon for being a favorite, like, of all time. Like, this is the series to me. I reread it every year. And that is Percy Jackson and the Olympians by Rick Riordan. I read this entire series for the first time when I was 13 years old, so that was a decade ago now. And I loved it so much. I've always loved Greek mythology since I was a kid, because I just always found mythologies to be so fascinating. And this had me completely enamored, and I've reread it almost every single year. I think I missed 1 year, like when I first started college or something. But it feels like coming home. And this one is specifically Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Battle of the Labyrinth, which is book 4. And all 5 are my favorites of all time. They're the only books to me that are a 10 out of 10. I like to rate out of 10 instead of 5 because I just think it's a bit more specific. This is the only series that's a 10 out of 10 to me. It is absolute perfection in my mind, but if I had to rate each individual book, I think this one would be my favorite. I've gone back and forth between this one and The Titan's Curse, which is book 3, on which one is my absolute favorite because I love both of them so much. But I just feel like The Titan's Curse is where things like really start moving for the series, but like this one, like, so much is happening between Percy and Annabeth. My favorite character ever grows more into his role in this book, which is Nico D'Angelo. And he does learn a lot in this book, which I appreciate. I love the character arcs. I love the adventure. I love that this is Annabeth's first like leading quest. And I just think it's completely and utterly amazing. I love these books. I think they have really good humor. I think they have good writing. And this is my favorite series of all time. Not super shocking or anything, or a controversial opinion or anything like that. These are very, very popular, but I can't not say that it's my favorite because it is my favorite series of all time. So yeah, that is Percy Jackson and the Olympians, both the title and the author, because these are translated books and they're translated from French. But this is The Mere Visitor Quartet by Christelle Debos. And this is specifically The Missing of Clair de Lune, which is the second book in the quartet and my favorite. Like, I've heard people describe these as like steampunk fantasy Pride and Prejudice books, and honestly, I have to agree. And this book has, well, all the books I would say have like this like mystery element, but this one, there's an actual mystery that Ophelia, the main character, has to solve. And you know what? I really like it. Like, at the end of the day, like, these enchanted me. I read them for the first time, I believe, in 2022, because that's when I really started getting back into reading again, was 2022. Yeah, because I started reading at the end of 2021. So the beginning of 2022. I read these around the beginning of the year, and it ruined all my other books for like 4, 5, 6 months afterwards, because every single book I read, I would just compare it to these books, and it made books that I think I would have otherwise enjoyed seemed a lot less intriguing, because none of them captured my attention the way this series did. And I think it could have been better as 5 books, because the 4th book feels extremely plot heavy. Yes, but I still really like it. If I had to rate them, the 2 would be number 1, the first one would be second best, the 3rd one would be 3rd best, and the 4th one would be 4th best. But I really love these. I think they're really great. Like, there's so many elements, they're complicated, but it's easy to read. I don't like things that, like, I feel like I have to work to read, which I know a lot of people love that, like, classical feeling in their books. It doesn't really capture my attention, at least not in this point in my life. If you like that, like, I am so happy for you, and I'm jealous that you can read things like that, because they just don't capture my attention or really make sense in my brain. But The Mirror Visitor Quartet by Christelle Debos. I might be really butchering that. These are great. I know the first one got a lot of hype, but I never saw anyone read beyond the first one. But the second one's the best. Like, by far, hands down. So much good shit happens in these. So I'm gonna do duologies. And I'm gonna start with a popular one, because why not? Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I am also a King of Scars girly. I'm also one of those. I love all the Grishaverse books, like, but I really love Six of Crows the most, and then King of Scars the second most, and then Shadow and Bone third, because it's very traditional YA fantasy. But this really does something for me. And I wish I didn't have this freaking Netflix sticker since they canceled the show. Like, are you kidding me? And why did they cancel it? Like, that's just lame. But Six of Crows, I'm pretty sure all of you are familiar with. It's a fantasy heist novel featuring Kaz, Nej, Jesper, Wylan, Matthias, and Nina. And I love my little criminals so much. There's just always so much happening, and it's just a really fun read because it is so fast-paced. There's always wild things happening. There's plans and then plans upon plans and plans getting ruined. And I love all like the twists and turns and learning about the history of characters. My favorite character is Jesper. I just love him. He's so dumb. He's really smart, but also emotionally dumb. I said what I said, and I love him dearly. I just think he's really funny. I don't know if that's the right word to describe these, but I'm not gonna blab on too long about Six of Crows because everyone loves Six of Crows. Their favorite duology, and this one I think I love even more than Six of Crows. Well, it's not that I think. I know I love it more than Six of Crows. Like, these books are almost 10 out of 10 for me. Is For the Wolf by Hannah Whitten. I would not describe this as a Red Riding Hood retelling, even though I know some people classify it as that. There is a wolf, there is a main character named Red. So I guess it is, but I wouldn't... It does so much more than that. Like, I feel like other books like Crimson Bound and things more so align with the traditional retelling. I would just say inspired, really, at the end of the day, that For the Wolf is inspired by Red Riding Hood. But it's about Red Radirez, but she goes by Red, about how she's the second born daughter born into this kingdom, and whenever a second daughter is born, it means that she is for, is it called the Wilder Wood? Yeah, the Wilder Wood. And she is for the wolf who guards it. And the wolf is rumored to be this timeless being who is keeping the kings, the 5 kings, in like this underground magic world. Dual perspective between Red and her sister Eve. Is that her sister's name? I don't remember. Red and Neve, I think it's Neve. And it's Red learning things that she never knew about the Wilder Wood, and she has magic she never knew about before. And it's also about Neve, who wants to do anything she can to get her twin sister back. And this book is more so in Red's perspective with little snapshots of Neve's perspective, and the second book is opposite. And I really love that plot device. Like, I think that is so cool. And this is a really enchanting, magical story, and I think it's done amazingly well. Last duology, even though I haven't read the second book, well, I started it, but I was having a hard time with it, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to read it, to be honest with you. I'm thinking I need to reread this one first and then go back into the second one, but I think this is also kind of standalone as its own story. Is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sun Lin Tan. I hope I said that right. I think I did, but I get in my head about these things. This is absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful, lyrical prose writing to the max. I love the way everything is described. I love these mythology elements, and I love the whole story, and it's like this long, like, spanning over years, and I really love a story like that. I thought it was absolutely breathtaking. I haven't, like I said, The Heart of the Sun Warrior isn't something I've really dived into, but I think I need to reread this one first because we jumped into that one just like straight up, like no backstory attached, and I was lost because I read this around the time it came out, and I just got the second one this past Christmas, or was it the Christmas before? I tried to reread it recently and I was so lost. But Daughter of the Moon Goddess, I know this one was kind of divisive among book lovers, but I really, really loved it. I know a lot of people love other books in this like specific like Asian mythology retold genre, but I really love Daughter of the Moon Goddess. Before I forget, I do have a favorite book that I don't currently have with me right now, and if you're like, why don't you have it with you right now? I do own this book. Not that you have to own every single book you read. Libraries are great, but I'm going to be moving within the next couple months, so I just let my library card expire. You know how it is, because I didn't want to pay to renew it when I'm going to be moving states. You get it, you get it, you get it. But my mom is actually borrowing this book from me right now, and it is A Feather So Black by Lyra Celine. I couldn't do this list without mentioning a fae book because I do love a good fae book. And A Feather So Black, it's just really doing it for me right now. I am a fan of ACOTAR. I did really enjoy Throne of Glass. I have read the first book of The Cruel Prince, and I really liked that because I had to reread it recently. And there's tons of other fairy books I like, but right now, A Feather So Black is like at the top of my list, and you're following Fia, who is a changeling in the human world. She's from the fae world, but all the gates between the fae world and the human world have been closed for a long time due to war, but then they discover the 13th gate, and she is set on a quest by her foster mother, the queen, to go retrieve the daughter that was stolen from her, who is now a swan maiden in the fae realm. And I thought this was really clever. I thought the writing was beautiful. I loved the pacing. I loved how they could only go like during full moons. It was just really enchanting and magical, and more so dealing with those classic trickstery type fae elements, as well as having the two separate worlds, and it was very Celtic inspired, and I really, really loved that. So I really wanted to shout out that book in particular. So yeah, now back to some other favorites. What I have now is also probably not another surprising book because a lot of people love this, and that is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I love this book. Well, I guess this is technically a duology because it has the mini novella. So sorry about doing that a bit out of order. Hopefully you'll forgive me. I'm trying my best. Also, why are my roots like showing so bad? Sorry about that. That might have been driving people insane. But Sorcery of Thorns, if you don't know, follows Elizabeth, who was raised in these magical libraries that hold sorcerers' books, because sorcerers can't just write spells on pens and papers, and sorcerers make deals with demons in order to have their powers. And, you know, that's like not a good connotation. And then at the beginning of this book, something happens and Elizabeth is sent away from the library. I thought this was so clever. I thought it was so beautiful. I enjoyed every moment, and like, this is like, even the little inscription like on the inside, that's usually to like from the author to like whoever like helped them or who it's for, and it says, "For all the girls who found themselves in books." Because Elizabeth is us, and we are Elizabeth. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Now, this next book, I have thought about it every single day since I've read it last year. Like, not a day goes by where I at least don't think about this book once. It's haunting me. And that is Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reid. This is like a dark gothic fantasy. The main character, I can't pronounce her name, is a witch, and so are her two sisters, and her father is a wizard, and her mother is gone, basically. And her father is cursed. And he is abusing his 3 adult daughters. Like, he is keeping them basically trapped in his house and using their talents. But the main character, the youngest daughter, she wants more out of her life, and there's like a mystery element, and she also falls in love. And this, I would not describe this as a love story. If you're looking for a romantasy, this is not romantasy. She has a romance, and it is integral to like her development as a character, but it is not a romantasy. Like, you're not really gonna be able to see them like fall in love or anything like that. He's a sexy lamp, basically. Like, he's a sexy lamp. It's about her, and it's about the terrible things that are happening in her life. This is very dark. There's a lot of triggering things in here. If that wasn't obvious, you need to look up trigger warnings if things bother you in books. I know some people, they're just not super sensitive, so like anything goes. But if you're a more sensitive person, or if you have trauma or triggers, you need to look up trigger warnings for this book, like hands down. But I loved it. Not saying that these things in this book don't bother me, they do bother me, but it's in no way romanticizing these horrible things. And I think that's where Ava Reid really exceeded expectations in this book and really excelled, was that nothing is romanticized, even though it's dealing with such dark subject matter. Like, you feel her pain and you don't want it to happen to you. Does that make sense? I hope it does. But Juniper and Thorn is definitely a favorite book of mine. And last but certainly not least, we have The Magician's Daughter by H.G. Perry. This is a historical fantasy. Who do you follow? Biddy. You follow Biddy, and her adoptive father is a magician, and one day he doesn't come back home after flying out at night. She lives on this magical island off the coast of Ireland, and things happen and she has to go on this like adventure now, but I wouldn't say it's like an epic high fantasy adventure. And she learns about her father, about magic, and about the truth. If you like Sorcery of Thorns and you've never heard of this book, you need to give this book a try, because Biddy and Elizabeth, in my opinion, are very similar in terms of character and in terms of certain things like in the plot. Like if you love that, you'll love this. If you love this, you'll love that kind of deal. This is one of my favorite books of last year, and I absolutely loved it. I think it's beautiful. And also the cover is beautiful. Most of these covers are beautiful. Honestly, I might have a type. But there's not much more I can say about it other than I absolutely loved it. And if you haven't read it, you need to. So yeah. Those are my favorite books of all time. Those are books to get to know me. I hope they helped you out. And, well, not really helped you out. I hope that if you love these books, then you stick around. If you don't love these books as much, but like my personality, stick around. And if neither of them click for you, that is totally okay. I promise I do not hold it against you. If you couldn't tell, I'm a fantasy lover. I love multiple different kinds of fantasy, but I have several dark fantasies on here. I like what I like. And yeah, I'm super excited to be here, and I guess I'm signing off. So I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.